Good morning, Gills fans, and welcome back to Gills in the Blood TV for another Monday review. Unfortunately, Boz is unable to attend this morning. He's not well, so you're going to have to put up with me rabbiting on my own, I'm afraid, as I look back at Saturday's thriller, I suppose we can describe it as. If he was a neutral, it was an absolutely superb game to watch, I'm sure. If you was a fan of either club, you probably weren't so enamoured with the defending, but we'll have a look back at a couple of the newspapers. I'll give my thoughts 48 hours down the line, and then we'll have a look back at obviously the results in League One as a whole, and ahead a little bit to tomorrow. We do have a game. I know plenty probably won't care, in the much maligned Checkatrade Trophy, as we once again welcome Southend, ironically, to Priestfield. But we'll start off with the Medway Messenger. It's Gills versus the world. That is the back page headline. Excellent picture of Adrian Pennock and Tom Eaves at the full-time whistle. Now, I had a debate with Boz and Stocky after the game on Saturday. Ady's antics coming over at the end and picking the ball up and running to Tom Eaves and telling us fans to give him some credit. I didn't think there was much in it. I thought it was just Ady being excited at the fact that one of his players had scored a hat-trick and performed well, and some fans on Twitter were slating him, saying he went over the top, we'd not won the Champions League or we'd not even won the game, etc. I can see their point of view, but I think after not scoring for 405 minutes this season up until half time, I think it was probably just relief and an outpouring of emotion from everyone. So I don't think there was too much in it. I don't think Ady was having a pop at us as fans. Obviously some will disagree. He just says in the paper at the moment, as the headline indicates, boss Ady Pennock has urged Gillingham fans to back his boys after several were made to eat their words on Saturday. Tom Eaves was under fire from some of his own supporters during a tricky first half at Priestfield, but the striker responded with a second half treble to silence the Boo Boys. In response to that, yes, you will get criticised as professional footballers if you're not playing well, and strikers that are not scoring are obviously going to become targets, much the same way that defenders who can't keep clean sheets were targets for the Boo Boys last season. That's human nature and part of the game. Mindless abuse I don't agree with, especially so early into the season. I mean, there was someone near me on Saturday who just kept abusing Jermaine McGlashan relentlessly, and I think it done us no favours, to be quite honest, because at the time, Glash, who we know so well, is all about pace and getting to the byline, and he had Conor Ogilvie on toast first half for us, and I just thought all it did by abusing him was just, it got his tail up and it just encouraged him to perform even better. So, but each to their own, everyone reacts differently to situations in games. I, for one, I'll admit I wasn't happy with Tom Eaves' performance first half. I thought he was very poor. He mirrored the performance of the team. The first half, I thought, as I said with Boz on the Matchday Live, for 15 minutes we were very good, but as soon as the goal went in for Southend, we collapsed, and in truth we could have been dead and buried at half time if it wasn't for some wayward finishing. I think the goal's soft again. Unfortunately, it sort of reverted back to Gills defending last year. The cross doesn't get blocked; it loops up off Conor Ogilvie into the air, and Thomas Holy unfortunately has a bit of a flap at it. I think he just needs to be stronger in this situation. So there's a few times now where he's come to punch or try and claim balls, and I think he's just too nice. I think he's just got to get more of a sort of an aggressive and nasty streak. Just clean everyone out, whether that's opposing strikers or your own defenders. As long as it's not a foul, I don't think anyone's going to complain. But I think he just seems too concerned that he's going to hurt someone, and then we don't react quick enough. Alex Lacey's slow to get in and try and edit out when probably should just be hacking it up in the air or out for a throw or a corner or anything. And Simon Cox is more, not Simon Cox, Ryan Leonard's a lot more aware and flicks it back over Thomas Holy's head into an empty net. I'm not going to talk much about the rest of the second half, because the first half, because we were shocking, absolutely shocking. I thought Marc-Antoine Fortuné could have had that trick. He's had two chances where he's had loads of time. For some reason he's not connected or he's not hit the target. He's had a decent header that Holy's done well to get down and save at the near post or far post, and we didn't create hardly anything after that opening spell. But credit, we took off Max Amar. Some were not sure whether he was injured or whether it was tactical. Unfortunately, again, whichever way we look at it, it's going to give the Boo Boys, as Ady likes to label them, something to moan about, because if it's AD making a tactical change, then it makes Max Amar an easy target. I had tweets off individuals on Saturday about my views on Max Amar. I'm not here and sitting and saying that Max Amar's been our best player this season, not for 1 minute. And he's probably, if we do go to 4-4-2, I'd agree he's probably the one that drops out. but abusing players after 5 games, especially after 4 games in which we conceded only 3 games we'd only conceded a couple of league goals, and we've been defensively sound, and Max has been part of that. I find it embarrassing that some parts of our fan base like to just pick and choose which parts of performances of individuals that they like to sort of emphasise. So last week, Alex Lacey, superb, I've heard, at MK Dons. I wasn't there, but I've been told by everyone that was at the game. Dave did our match day live and said that Lacey was very, very good. But he was at fault for the goal. But some people like to just miss that out. And then we get another centre-back of ours, Max Amar, who is at the moment effectively, along with Josh Parker, probably one of the scapegoats. Again, last week he made a mistake and then rectified it with a brilliant tackle, I'm told by Dave. But no, we emphasised the point that Max made the mistake. So unfortunately yesterday, Max becomes the one to blame for anything that goes wrong, or if Max Amar was injured, then people slate Ady and say, well, he's not a tactical genius and he didn't make the change, it was forced upon him. So you can't please everyone all of the time, and that's the beauty of football. Everyone wants to disagree, but I just think some tend to just pick and choose bits that suit them and suit their own agendas, if that's what you want to call it. But that's my little rant out of the way. We'll have a little look further in. Goals finally arrived for Gills. There's some cracking pictures. Tom Eaves looks wonderfully distorted. I think it's probably the most polite way to put it, as he wheels away after putting us 2-1 up. But second half he was absolutely superb. He was a different player. He was almost unplayable second half at times. And I tweeted after the game, the second goal, for any of the Gills fans that remember the playoff final in 2000, or the younger ones that have watched it, it was uncanny how similar Conor Ogilvy's cross and Tom Eaves' diving header were to Ty Gooden's cross and Andy Thompson's diving header at Wembley 17 years ago, which was nice to see, and it brought back some good memories. Pennock was seeing progress. Boss happy with attitude. Boss Ady Pennock was thrilled at Gillingham's never say die attitude, as we came from 1-0 down and then 3-2 down to claim a point. He said it would have been a travesty if we'd not got anything. I think he's right. Don't doubt me, says Eaves. Another big statement from the big man who came out a couple of weeks ago and was ridiculed by some for saying he wanted to get 20 league goals. Well, he's only 17 away now and he's only played 3 games, I believe, because he didn't start some of the league games. The 25-year-old got off the marking style at Priestfield with a second half treble, ending a 4-game run without a goal for the Gills, and came after a tough opening half on Saturday for Eaves. So it's a little bit about the same thing that we spoke about. And he goes on to say that he's just got to be more selfish. He said this is the best he's felt in a long time in terms of fitness and form, and long may it continue. I think he's been very impressive since he came in, apart from the first half Saturday. And yes, I did slate him on the match day live, but we do try and be constructive in our criticism. It is hard, of course it is, when you spend a lot of money as fans and you're not seeing what you want to see on the pitch. But we are only 4 games into a league season, so let's hope on the back of this we can push on. We've got Shrewsbury on Saturday. That's another home game and a good opportunity. In terms of match ratings, theirs paired up against ours. This is Luke in the Medway Messenger. They went Holy 5, we went 6. They went Lacey 7, we went 6. Zakwani 6, we matched that up. Amar 5, we had 5.5. Wing backs, they had Luke O'Neill 7, we picked 6. And Conor Ogilvy, we both had 6. Billy Bingham, they gave 7, I gave 6.5. I thought he was just a little bit loose in possession a couple of times first half in dangerous areas. Lee Martin, we matched up, both gave 6. Mark Byrne 8, they gave. I gave 6.5. I don't think he'd done a lot wrong. Me and Boz actually had a debate in the car whether he was worth a 7, because in fairness he did set up Tom Eaves first and he did win the penalty, so maybe we was a little bit harsh in hindsight. Liam Nash, we both gave a 7, and Luke gave Tom Eaves a 9 and obviously man of the match, and we gave him an 8 man of the match. The only reason I didn't give him a 9 or a 10 you have to be perfect or score something ridiculous like 4 or 5 goals in a game. The only reason I marked him down from 9 to an 8 was because of the fact that he was pretty poor first half. Let's not dress over it and pretend. Substitutes, Josh Parker 6, we gave 6.5. Ben Nugent, we both gave 6, and Greg Cundall, they gave 6, we gave 5. Purely, he wasn't on that long. So one more player I want to speak about, Liam Nash. Thought was very good for a full debut. Worked the channels really well. He pulled his centre half out of their comfort zone and out of positions to create space for Tom Eaves. And yes, it's only, 75, 80 minutes that they got together, but it looked very promising, and I think it might be the first choice partnership as we move forward. I don't think they'll start as a pairing tomorrow. But yeah, all in all, a thrilling game. And before we finish up, we'll have a quick look at the Football League paper. Says pretty much similar in regards to our game, maybe talking about us against the world and Tom Eaves' hat-trick. Tom Eaves obviously got star man again. That's pretty obvious, to be honest, when you get a hat-trick. So, but we're going to have a look now at League One as a whole. Like I said, now we're going to do this as part of our Monday review each week rather than as a separate video. Run through the results, and then I'll pick out 2 or 3 that I thought were impressive as star performers. So we'll start with, in alphabetical order, AFC Wimbledon finally got their season up and running with a 2-0 home win against Doncaster. You'd probably have to say that's something of a surprise result, because Doncaster had started pretty brightly. They'd drawn both their home games and they'd won away, so and that was at Blackburn, I think. So a decent result for AFC Wimbledon. Cody McDonald started on the bench. If we're looking at ex-Jules, I believe he had an injury beforehand, but he's still yet to get off the mark. So for all of you of the way of thinking that Cody was past it, you'll all be proved right at the moment, because Tommy's got a hat-trick. Blackburn seem to be finally finding their feet. They're suddenly up into the top half. They smashed MK Dons 4-1. Just looking there, I don't know if Bradley Dack didn't feature at all, wasn't even on the bench. But another ex-Gill, Dominic Samuel, scored again in their 4-1 victory. Charlie Mulgrew with a couple again. Down to Blackpool versus Oldham. Blackpool started fantastic. They won 2-1 Saturday. Oldham, same old problems. I'm not going to keep repeating myself, but Blackpool are sitting in 8th after 4 games, which is a great start for them considering they've stepped up. Bristol Rovers against Fleetwood, probably a bit of a surprise result. Fleetwood had started great. Bristol Rovers had been a bit in and out, but that's their first home win of the season. They won 3-1. Devonte Cole scored again though for Fleetwood, so he's finally finding his feet at this level. I think that's 4 in 3 games for him now. Gills 3, Southend 3 I've already spoken about. Our dear friend next, Northampton at home to Peterborough. Northampton 1, Peterborough 4. I had them in my league prediction at the beginning of the season to go down Northampton. We know what they're all about in terms of what Justin Edinburgh signed and how imbalanced his squad will probably be. They've now played 4 games, they've got no points, and they've conceded 10 goals already. It says all their problems. Jack Marriott was on the score sheet again for Peterborough. He's on absolute fire at the moment. Oxford 1, Shrewsbury 1. I'm not sure if that's a better result for. Oxford bounced back from defeat last week. Shrewsbury's 100% record goes, but they come to Priestfield next week in absolutely fine fettle. They've got 10 points from the first 12 available. Plymouth 0, Scunthorpe 4. Plymouth had a red card in that game, but Scunthorpe, they lost a couple of players in the summer after the playoffs last year, and I said I didn't think they'd get in the playoffs this year. I had them down as about 8th or 9th, I believe, but they just crept into the top 6. And they're unbeaten. Their home form mirrors their away form. 1-1 and drawn 1 at home and on the road. And 4-0, the usual suspects in terms of goal scorers. Paddy Madden with 2, Tom Hopper, Josh Morris, who started last season on absolute fire. Rochdale Bury, I wouldn't have had that as a goalless game, considering their starts to the season, but that finished 0-0. Rotherham in and out again, lost 2-0 at home to Charlton. Charlton have started really well, 9 points from 12. They've only lost 1, won the other 3. The goalkeeper / striker scored in that game, Josh McGuinness. If you're looking for a crazier game than ours, Walsall at home to Bradford. 49 minutes gone, Bradford were 3-0 up and absolutely cruising. I said last week on one of our videos that I think it's a race between, amongst quite a few fans of people that follow this league, who's going to be first to go. John Whitney or Ady Pennock. I mean, you could probably add Justin Edinburgh into that mix now for first manager sack, but Walsall somehow turned it round, and they nicked a late equaliser in the 87th minute to draw 3-3, come back from the dead. And Wigan versus Portsmouth, Premier League fixture a few years ago. Ivan Toney scored again for Wigan inside 10 minutes, but credit Portsmouth, they come back and nicked a point. Portsmouth have probably been a little bit slower in finding their feet than I thought they would, to be honest, but they've got a great manager in Kenny Jackett at this level. I think they're still getting the top 6 or 7. Wigan, again, that's the first points they dropped. I watched the Football League show, and Kenny Jackett was very happy that his Pompey side were the first to take points off of Wigan this season, so you'd probably say that's a better point for Pompey. In terms of star performers, Charlie Mulgrew, double for Blackburn. He's up and running very quickly for the season in terms of goals. He's up to 3 now, alongside Dominic Samuel looking at the top scorers list. So Tom Eaves, I'm going to put in our own. I'm not being biased. He got a hat-trick. He was very good second half, almost unplayable, like I've already touched on. Paddy Madden, I'm going to put in this week as well. A double on the road at Plymouth. So that gets him on the move. And is that with 3? Yeah, that's me 3 this week then. I'm going to go for Charlie Mulgrew, Tom Eaves and Paddy Madden as my top 3 performers in League One this week. Just a little bit here, there's a football first. Gillingham goalkeeper talks us through his football memories. I'll try and take a picture of that and put it on Twitter for anyone who's not bought the paper. But as always, thanks for listening. We do have a Checker Trade game tomorrow. I'm not sure if I'm attending yet, but obviously if I do go, I will be doing a match day live. As always, thanks for watching. Please keep retweeting, liking, subscribing, spreading the word on all of our social media platforms. And until next time, up the Gills.